We're live? What's up, everybody? Vinnie Montez here. We're going to do a little Q&A tonight, and I want to make sure everybody can hear me okay. So we're going to get started here. We're just going to let an audience build for a second. My name is Vinnie Montez. I've been a cop for the last 22 years. I'm one of the members of Humanize the Badge, hence the reason I'm wearing this shirt. And tonight we're going to talk about, we're going to do a little Q&A with me. Aside from being a cop for the last 22 years, I've been doing stand-up comedy. June will be 13 years for me. And I think we're, let's see, time out for 1 second. Oh yeah, we're good. Kill it. Okay, we had a little technical difficulty there. Anyway, I'm sorry to jump. I want to make sure I've got everybody good to go here. So we got a good feed going, and good to go. All right, we are live. We got a bunch of people joining up right now. I hope we got a bunch of people. There's a couple of people that are sharing this right now. Officer Daniels is supposed to be sharing this for me on a couple of different platforms, so we're just waiting for that group. Let me just jump into this. So we're celebrating Police Week 2020. Last year, Police Week 2019 was phenomenal. The Humanized Badge crew got to go down last year to Tent City. And one of the things that we learned while we were there, it was an awesome time to have camaraderie, get some opportunity to share some stories with people, recognize the honor of those who've given the ultimate sacrifice. But what we're now in 2020 is COVID. It's craziness. So tonight we've come together for a Q&A with me. I'm going to try to make you guys laugh a little bit. Hopefully you'll get to come see me do some stand-up comedy live, because it's a little bit different than what you're going to see here tonight. We're not going to do like per se stand-up, but we're just going to answer some questions. So some of the questions that have already been preset asked of me is, how did I get into comedy, and how does that affect my mental health? So I'm going to just be very candid, and I'm going to slow down here for a second. I'm pretty hyped right now because I'm excited to be with you guys tonight. My journey into mental health started right when I became an officer. One of the things that we all start out is very idealistic. I started as an explorer in 1990. I wanted to be a cop more than anything else. Quickly, I started seeing some things. I remember at the age of 16, was probably about that age I saw the first time I ever saw a dead body. And it impacted me, but I kind of felt, I'm just going to be completely candid here. I felt kind of excited because I was like, I had seen something. I wanted to be a cop. And I kind of felt proud of myself because, man, I actually seen something. And I remember the accident like it was today. It was the first time. It was a lady who was killed and a baby was ejected from a car. And I went home that night and to my parents, back home. And I didn't really say anything to my parents, but I felt like, man, I've been there. I've seen some stuff. And then, of course, you become 18, 19, 21. I went to the academy in 97. I graduated the end of that year, and I became a cop in 98. And I started my career off in the jail. So some of the things you smell, taste, hear in the jail, you'll never forget that. One of the things I remember is once I transferred to patrol in 2001, they called me a shit magnet. I would always, whatever would happen on the street, I would be like right there for it. And I was pretty excited. I loved doing what I was doing, and I didn't realize that all this, like, not acute trauma, but trauma was starting to build. One of the classes I've been to was Dr. Kevin Gilmartin, and he talks about the emotional survival for police officers. But I knew it all because I was a young cop. I was ego. I had a fresh minted badge. I was like, woo, let's go do this. And I remember the sheriff pulled me aside pretty early in my career, and he's like, hey, young kid, you need to realize you need to chill out. You need to not work so much. You need to start dealing with that mental health stuff. And not to be disrespectful, but in my head, I was kind of like, what are you talking about, old guy? I got this. I'm good. 2008 comes up real quick. You get hired in 98, 2008, 10 years into this, a decade. And I'm off one night, and I found myself always wanting to be occupied as a cop. So if I wasn't working and I was in my downtime, I had a hard time dealing with that. I felt alone. I was struggling with those things. So one night I decided after I got off duty, I was going to go up. I was going to go play some poker and cards, right? More entertainment instead of just chilling. And I came upon an accident, and this kid, long story short, he passed away. He stopped breathing. I worked on him with my partner. I was by myself for a while. One of the other guys I worked with got there, and then shortly thereafter, you know, we worked him till as long as we could. Young kid. That emotion hit me, and I remember being on that scene, and I just broke down. And I was like, man, what the heck is going on with me? And I knew that there was an issue. So I didn't deal with it right away, and I didn't know what exactly to do. And sometimes people turn to drinking more, hanging out with friends more, maybe avoiding some of the things that you should be responsible for in life. And I just never wanted to be alone. And so I started dealing with those things and finding an outlet. And that's kind of when it clicked with Dr. Kevin Gilmartin. I started thinking about what was going on in my head and what I needed to do, because I was starting to feel depressed. I was starting to go into this spiral. And I thought about comedy, but I really got serious about it in 2008 after this incident happened. And lo and behold, it was my outlet to redefining myself into not just being this cop person all the time at work. And it's not the cops that end up, you know, committing suicide or getting into those bad situations that are the bad cops. It's oftentimes some of the cops that are the very, very best. And comedy's been an outlet for me. So that is what the impetus was for comedy. And I started writing about it. We're going to take some questions. Please feel free to jump in on the comments here. If you have questions, I have a moderator that's going to be handing me stuff. So do you have is she texting you? So I'll take some questions that you guys have. Some of the other stuff that you might not know about me is some of these random questions that come in. What's the funniest traffic stop that you've ever been on? Man, that is, I'll tell you what, probably one of the funniest traffic stops that I've ever been on was, man, I tell you what, I can't think, there's so many things I could talk about. I'll tell you a traffic stop that involved me as an explorer that I never forgot about this. I used to have a flip phone as a cadet. And when I would load in with the officers that I was riding with, I would always have more gear than they did. So I had like all kinds of bags, and you know, I wanted to be that cadet who was always over prepared. In some of my comedy, if you ever watch it, I'm talking about Inspector Gadget Cadet. You know, he's got like 13 tactical knives, he's got like 13 tourniquets, all this stuff that's going on. And you know, they're just always ready to go. Well, I put the phone on the side of the car one night, and we went out on this call. And we got in the car after we handled the call, and I closed the door, and the deputy was backing up, and we heard this thump thump. He's like, "What's that?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's nothing." And so we went until the end of watch. You know, I didn't have a need for my phone, and at the end of watch, when we were offloading into the cars, I was looking for my phone and I couldn't find it. And he's like, "Well, what do you remember that thump we had? The thump on the side of the highway?" And I was like, "There is no way." So we go out there, and sure enough, there's my phone. You know, the old brick flip phones. And I go to open it, and we'd run it over so well that when I opened it, the bottom of the phone just fell off into the ground. So that's probably, it was a traffic stop, but kind of something stupid that happened to me. I'm sure you guys can relate. It's probably, other than that, being funny is catching that traffic stop, like you're trying to put the blinders on, go back to the office because you don't want to get involved in anything. Like you don't want to get another call, you got to use the bathroom. And as cops, man, we are particular about our porcelain. Like we don't just use public porcelain. COVID's going to change it into an entirely different realm of that. But like, we have a couple places we feel comfortable as cops, and we're going to drop trial with all of our gear on there. We're either going to do it in the station, a substation, or we're going to do it at home. We don't go into no Conoco, 7-Eleven, drop our trial. No, it doesn't happen that way. So inevitably, you know, you get a traffic stop, you have to pull somebody over, they're driving super crazy. And of course, at the moment you don't want to catch a warrant or you don't want to have something, they got everything, and you're just like, you got to go. And be like, brr. My buddy Sammy tells me, you know, he always keeps TP in the car just in case. And I know we kind of just went there crazy, Bill, with that, but I don't care. We're just going to keep it going. How did you get into comedy? I think I just talked about that. It was my mental health. And I'm kind of being like acting a little bit of a fool right now and just joking around with everybody because I want you to feel a little bit comfortable. I want to like make myself really personable to you. Mental health is a very serious thing. It's taboo to a lot of people. I think people have a lot of shame associated with talking about their mental health. And that used to be me. I didn't want to talk about my mental health and what was going on. I didn't want to talk about the issues that I was struggling with because I thought that the officers that I was dealing with, my partners and so forth, would think that I was showing weakness. And that is complete. It's all right to, I hate to say it's cliche, but it's okay to not be okay. And more people that we talk about it, I can name 6 cops from my own agency from the age that I started in 1990 to where I am today in 2020. I can name 6 cops that have taken their own lives. And that's a complete tragedy. And the reason I say that I bring this up is because many of those cops, often most times the cops that end up doing that, they're some of the greatest people in the world. It's not the ones who didn't care, it's the ones who truly cared a lot. I've had a recruit of my own when I was an FTO. He took his life. He got involved in a gun battle to save some people's lives at a ski resort. And he later took his life, and the stories go on and all those treasured people's lives that they impacted the people they left behind, and they were just wonderful people that maybe if they'd have reached out and talked and said, hey, I got an issue. And so comedy was my way out of that. I never wanted to get to that point. Let's just be candid here. Did Carol Buskin kill her husband? I don't know. That Tiger show is going crazy right now. I'm going to go with yes. All right? I'm going to pick a side. I'm going to be decisive today. Yes, she did. Next question. How is your comedy special? I can't read that, moderator.
How has your comedy and social media?
What is that?
How has your comedy and social media affected your career as an administrator?
Oh, that's a great question. So how has my social media affected my career? So I don't ever say the agency that I work for, but if you look me up online, it's really easy to figure it out. I've been there since I was a cadet, and I think that some administrators around the country look at social media as all evil, or they're afraid of it. And then I think that there's other people who are more lenient. We have a policy where we're not putting our agency, like you don't ever see me wearing my agency's uniform when I'm doing comedy sketches or things like that. Sometimes you'll see me at a community event in uniform, but it's always kept in the positive light. When I'm ever joking or doing a skit like with Officer Daniels and stuff like that, you're never going to see me wearing my uniform at my job. So we have regulations that we fall under, but the thing about it is there's a lot of positive stuff that can come from. And here's an example. If you don't know who Ono, it's the Popo dancing cop, they call him, AJ up in Philadelphia. Here's a prime example of what positive communication is. And so you'll see a lot of me posting, funny stuff, but you never see me getting like political or talking about that. I think you have to be very careful about it. I think you have to understand the dynamic of what the impact is going to be to your audience. Stand-up comedy, I kind of push the envelope every once in a while, but here's the deal. To me, it's a protected art form. We have the First Amendment too. You're never going to see me outright like going after somebody or anything like that. I'm not going to do that. I wouldn't do that personally. I keep it professional. I try to keep it in the comedy realm, and you don't see me engaging people. Like, for example, I posted something with my friend who is very political. Not too long ago, I posted something just supportive of him, and the next thing you know, people are hating on me for it. I just didn't respond to it. I just didn't engage it. So you got to be good about that stuff. It's done a lot of great things for me because more people have become aware of me. I know I'm talking quick. We've only got a half an hour to 45 minutes here. One of the things I want to say that it's done for me and what the benefit has been is it's got the message out that I'm not alone. And that's helped me personally deal with my own mental issues as far as, dealing with the struggles of, I don't know if I would be clear. It would be clear for me to say that I've had post-traumatic stress. I'm not a doctor. I've been to plenty law enforcement counselors. But there's definitely some mental health issues of anxiety and feeling down and alone and overwhelming emotion. And I think that when I share that with people and I'm open about it and I hear about their stories, and a lot of times it's not done in an open setting. So when I perform at a show, whether I'm at the National Latinos Law Enforcement Conference or I'm doing any other show around the country, I just share for a little bit of time what that struggle I went through in the middle of that show, and then I bring it back up. But when I do that, nobody ever yells out, hey, yeah, me too. What they do is they wait till the end of the show, they'll come up to me, they'll send me a DM, or they'll send me a text message or whatever. And slowly, over time, social media has let me reach a lot more people that are struggling with mental health issues in this career. And it's not just cops, it's firefighters, paramedics, EMTs, dispatchers. And I kind of done a little bit of all those. I started as a dispatcher right before I got hired as a cop for like 2 or 3 years. No matter what position you're in, the things we smell, taste, hear, feel, are subjected to, whether directly or vicariously through those different jobs within the EMS field, everybody is touched in a certain way. And a lot of times, even for dispatchers, those of you who are watching right now, you don't get to see the end resolution. The one thing for me as a cop, and I know I'm kind of going all over the place, but there's so much I want to say. You know, I can remember time after time going and, you know, we call in for a chopper, right? And the chopper gets there, terrific accident, terrible accident, just people in bad shape. They get loaded up and they go. But you never get that end resolution. And then I feel for my partners that are dispatchers, they never get that resolution, right? Most of their stuff, you know, maybe cop is kind enough to call up there and give them a heads up as to what happened, but we're left not knowing. We see the trauma and the worst, but we don't get to see the end. And a lot of times we need closure for things to finally get that full resolution for us in our hearts and our minds to deal with and process things. So, all right, I'm going to keep going here because questions are coming in left and right. Encourage donations. Hey, I added a button, and thank you, moderator, for reminding me. I added a button. I made my donation already for Blue Help, and I want to remind you guys that Blue Help is Blue Help LE on Facebook. So I've already added the donate button. Please add what this organization does, which is a nonprofit. If you're not aware and you're a new viewer turning in, just because we've shared this a bunch tonight, is their advocacy for supporting people and families who have lost somebody to either committing suicide or dealing with trauma around that, and supporting them, because those are heroes too. People had honorable careers. Many of the people I told you about, 6 people my agency that I can name off right now, they had great careers. They were great people, and then they took their own lives. It doesn't mean we shouldn't recognize them and be supportive of their families, because for years they were making that sacrifice to be that person out on the front line doing that job. And also the advocacy that goes on. If you get a chance to read Blue Help, like today they were talking about some of the stuff related to Counseling Act for that's passed the Senate, and also some gathering data information related to law enforcement suicide deaths, and that has passed the Senate really recently. I believe, as a matter of fact, as of today. So there's a lot of positive things that they're doing, they're advocating for, and they're helping to get that information out there. Can you touch on a few things that helped, I can't read your writing, with your family? Yeah, I guess being open about stuff. I used to kind of hide some stuff, and I'll give you a prime example. So I used to hide the fact that I chewed. And I've been dealing with something with this recently. I used to hide the fact that I chewed. I used to hide my faults because I thought that nobody would understand. And I was protecting myself that if they didn't know, it'd probably be okay. So one of those things is, like in relationships, you got to just be straight about it. You know, I've got many demons that we could spend hours talking about my issues and the things that I struggle with. But I think with your family is you just got to be willing to open up. I think a lot of cops oftentimes think, well, I don't want to share that trauma, the things that I see or that I feel when I'm at work, and the only people I can relate to are those other cops. But that's not true. The people that you're with at home, you don't have to go into the gore, but you can tell them how you feel, how you reacted, or give them the overall gist of the scenario. You know, we can't talk about cases at home, but we can talk about that trauma impact that we have. And oftentimes it's going to do 2 things. One, the person that you're with, that you're in that relationship with, they're going to feel a little more acceptance from you, and also feel that you're willing to be able to share that information with them. So you're bringing them in. The second part of it is what you get from it. You get a chance to talk about those things. And like I said, you don't have to go into the gory detail, but you know, how it made you feel, what was going on, you know, the struggle that you went for. And guess what? That person that you're with can be there for you. And it's a chance for you to talk and release it. Not only is that good to do that in your relationships, but I advocate, you know, doing debriefs for very serious situations. Those calls, even like the day-to-day calls that you go on, burglary in progress, did it go good, did it go bad? You know, maybe you went on a traffic accident that was really traumatic. You know, briefing sergeants, you frontline supervisors are really responsible for making sure that those debriefs happen so that people can start to process that stuff, because it's okay to talk about it, getting it out there. And that I would talk about with the family, sharing that with your loved ones so they're not like on the outside looking in. I think that creates a lot of barriers, and you want to keep those barriers apart. That's what I think from my personal experience dealing with it. Tell me about when you weren't okay. Is that what that says? Tell me about when you weren't okay. So like I'm gonna go back to a couple times. So I've told you about the kid. I think I've talked a lot on podcasts where that kid died in 2008. Also, where I wasn't okay was probably a couple years in being a sergeant. I know we'd hired this new lady on the shift. She's a sergeant now. She's a super awesome cop. And I remember going on this call where a young kid, and one of my best friends also was on this call. He dealt with it as a detective, but a young girl, very young girl, I want to say under 10-ish, was having a medical issue. Wasn't expected, stopped breathing. 911 gets called, we get there, I get to this call, and my colleague, I could see she was really stressed out. Because again, the things that hit us and really drive home an impact are the things we can relate to. And in this instance, she had a child that was very reminiscent of the young girl who had just been transported. And I saw like the emotion in her, and I could see the emotion in her FTO. And I remember going into this house and I saw something in that house that reminded me of this couple that I'd actually interacted with them before because of an association that I had outside of work. I didn't know them, but it was just kind of clicking. And so I told that young officer, don't stay here, leave, you can go to the hospital. And I didn't want her to stay on scene. And I stayed there, and I remember just sitting there all by myself, waiting for eventually detectives to be relieved as a supervisor on scene. And I just started thinking about, how that deputy was feeling and how I felt and how surreal it was just sitting in this house and being all by yourself. And, how much everything was, you look around the house and you'd see everything was just normal. It was a normal day. There was nothing abnormal about the house, but just the impact of what had happened. This young girl did not live. And a lot of things around that really impact us have to deal with death. And I don't mean to get so serious right now, but it's the truth. And so I remember being impacted like that and thinking about that. And it's not only was I dealing with my own stuff from seeing this surreal scene, but I was also dealing with the impact of me as a supervisor. What do I do to help that individual that I was just on this call with? And I'll tell you what, you just be there, you support them. I got her off the scene. I did the best thing that I think I could do. And then of course my buddy, who is a longtime friend of mine, 20 plus years we started in this business together. He ended up being the detective. He had to go on the autopsy for that. And I remember him telling me he got home and he had a young son at the time. He had to wake him up or get him up and give him a hug just because it really was impactful. And I don't even have kids, but I could feel how impactful that was for him. And for him to share that with me and talk about it, I think is important. So how was I impacted? When was I in okay? When that kid died in the canyon, when I was seeing my friends being impacted by that other scene, when I've seen young people. I think it's always tough for people when they see young people die, because we always, at least for me, and I can't speak for everybody else, I think about, man, this young kid didn't have a chance to do anything. I'll get real dark here with you because we're going there. There's nothing more alone in my life as a cop being out there than I felt when I'm on a scene like where somebody commits suicide. I remember the scene like it was yesterday. A couple of our officers got there. I was a supervisor on duty. They had already cut down this young kid. And, he looked like, he was just laying on the ground. He was deceased. And, we had officers there and standing over this kid, just lifeless. You just look at him and he just looks perfect. He looks like he's fine. And in the background, you hear the screams of the mom, and I think it was the sister and some other family members. And you go in there as the supervisor, and your deputies are trying to deal with the scene, maintain security, wait till detectives get there. And you go up to the family, and I remember telling the mom, I'm so sorry for your loss, and let me tell you what's going to happen just so you know the situation. But no matter how appropriate you are, what the words you say, it doesn't stop that deafening sound of what you hear. Because the moment I stopped talking to her, just went back to that screaming and yelling, and I just wanted to go outside the house and be away from it, but you still got a job to do. And it's tough. But that's where, when you're away from it, sharing that, like right now, being able to share that with you in this media stream is really giving me a chance to deal with some of my own stuff. I don't think I've ever talked with that live before. I've talked with that with friends, but it's very impactful, and I just want to be super honest about it. And if you have ever been on that scene or feel somewhat connected with what I'm saying, it's okay. I think we never want to share that dialogue, that monologue that we have going inside. I shouldn't say dialogue, that monologue we have going inside of our heads, because we think that people might think we're crazy. Well, I got to be honest with you. To do this job, you do got to be a little bit cuckoo. You know that. We all got a special blend of something. I'm going to keep going with the questions because we're plowing through this. What does that say? But they say talk as long. Okay, they've given me a little extra time. Slow down. Okay, I'm going to slow down a little bit. I'm trying to get through so much. Probably losing y'all. I'm going to woo stuff for a second. I keep pushing these in. If you haven't noticed, I've got a large head. Okay, this dome up here is pretty big. And these ear pods, whatever you want to call them, they don't fit very well in my head. So I keep messing them. I cannot read your handwriting.
Because you don't have your glasses on.
Do you ever have a hard time talking? What does that say?
Do your guys ever have a hard time taking you seriously? That's from Hector.
Oh, Hector. Do my guys ever have a hard time taking me seriously? I don't think so. I think sometimes I come off as very intense because I just have that personality that I walk into a room and I'm just, those people, there's all the different personalities, right? We got people that are very organized. They want to have their information. Some of those classes I've been to, the bean counters, they want to have everything very structured before they make decisions. And then we got people that are like really black and white and they want to follow the rules and be between the lines. And then we got sunshine people, which is me. And then we have the people that are like decision makers. We're making decisions. We don't need the info. Give me and I'm kind of that guy too. So when I walk into a room, Hector, I think sometimes I have to remind myself to be quiet a little bit, and that's hard for me to do. I have to listen. And tonight I get a chance to be just me talking all the time, but I have to really try to listen when I'm at work. And who you see online and the comedy side is not necessarily the person who you see at work. I do joke around a lot and have a lot of fun at work, but I'm a lot more serious because I have a different role at work and I have to be in that role, and people expect a certain decorum when I'm there. Doesn't mean I don't cut up. I'm also very open about my issues, and I think that that's built a little bit of trust with the people that are on the line level. Of course, I'm still a commander, so everybody, no matter what decision I make, I'm always going to make some people unhappy, and that's just the way it is in this career. But I think people do take me seriously when it comes to how much I talk about mental health. I've taught in-service classes for our deputies at the sheriff's office, and nobody's ever come to me and said, right during the class, hey, I totally relate with you. It's always one-on-one, because there is a little bit of shyness, but the fact that they have the courage to come tell me that, send me a text message or DM me about those things, that tells me, yes, I've got trust with them, and it's an ongoing effort, right? It's a relationship, so you got to constantly be putting effort into it. Do you have another one for me? Oh, sorry. Advice for young kids getting into law enforcement. Oh, that is a great question. All right, all you law enforcement explorers that might be watching right now, or you're younger than that, if you don't have to see it, don't see it. I was so excited to go on that accident. It's the thrill of running hot. Like when you first run hot and you're a new cop, you're like, you're running hot, you're so excited, lights, sirens, it's just it's the show, right? But when you get to that scene for your first time and it's real and, you're seeing that tragedy, if you don't have to see it, don't see it. There's going to be plenty of that to see in your career. And you should I think you should keep yourself mentally prepared and situated to be able to take on that trauma that's going to happen. Dr. Kevin Gilmartin talks basically, I'm going to paraphrase here, but basically you have this big chalice. And eventually, no matter who you are, you fill that chalice up with all the different experiences, good, bad, trauma, all that stuff. And if you're not emptying it out all the time, it's going to overflow. And my point of bringing that up is if you at the age of 14 or 16, typically when people are young in law enforcement or they're interested in it, if you start that experience like I did, I think that's why I hit the wall earlier, is because I'd seen so much as a young person coming up, and there was really not a need to do that. So I'm not saying, you shouldn't be an explorer, you shouldn't go out there and do it, but what I do think is if you don't need to see the trauma, there's no reason to go see that kind of stuff, the gore or whatever it is, don't. There'll be plenty of time in your career to get exposed to all that. But learn from the people around you, the relationships, how they deal with calls. That's all good stuff. Did I skip one? Mm-hmm. What do you think about peer support? Wow, man, this is all hitting home. So I just recently took over our peer support team, and what I mean by that is I'm the administrator. We have a bunch of young senior officers and sergeants that are really doing a great job with the program, and peer support is huge. I think that cops tend to want to talk with cops. It's because we all know the vernacular. We all know the situations of what we deal with, and it's easier for us to relate. We always have an easier time talking with people when we can relate to them. And I think that's what peer support should be. One of the things I think you have to have in a peer support group is trust. And so I think agencies should be very careful about who they put in those roles. And I think that they should absolutely make sure that they have an opportunity for people to get the counseling that they need. Maybe peer support can be a mechanism or a conduit to getting somebody to a situation where they could talk to a real counselor. And speaking about that is, I don't care if it's peer support, if it's a colleague, a sergeant, somebody you trust, a best friend that's not a cop, which people who are not cops that are outside this job that are friends, or whether outside of EMS period, are great people to have. But nonetheless, whether it's peer support or somebody you trust, just having somebody to be able to share and bounce that information off. The other thing I want to talk about, and I'm sorry to digress on it, is I think if you're going to go talk to a professional counselor, if you could seek out somebody who is a law enforcement professional counselor. I have been many a times to EAP, Employee Assistance Programs, over the course of my career. Now, I know some of those people that I went to talk with that were, dealt with psychological issues and that wanted to help me as counselors, they always weren't the best. I didn't feel like they were the best fit for me. It wasn't until I actually went to a law enforcement psychologist that could relate to some of the situations that I was going to. It had people trained specifically to deal with that. Was able to get some real benefit because they understood where I was coming from. They could relate to me and I could relate to them. So I highly encourage that. And sometimes they're really hard to find, but there are things that are out there that you can find. And no matter what it is, if you don't have a peer support team at your agency, peer support is very indicative of what it means. It's your peers reaching out to them. There are plenty of men and women to your left and your right, if you're struggling with something, that are willing to sit down and talk with you, and they'll be serious. And there are people that are not going to judge you. There are going to be some people that are, of course, idiots, and they act a fool, and they may say something smart ass. Don't be discouraged by that if you run into it. Just move along and find somebody else who you can trust and you can talk to. Get that out. Don't hold it inside. Have I met an NBA player from what?
JD, I think.
Is this from JD? Yeah, I met JD. You're killing me. So one of my buddies, JD, is watching this right now. I don't know, but there may have been a time where an individual that matching my description was a little bit inebriated at a Nuggets game. Got invited back to the locker room, and there was this guy named, I think, Rafe LaFrance. I totally am messing this up. I know you know this, JD. And I went up, and for some reason, his name constituted in my head Ray Fareed. And I walked up to him in the locker room, like, yo, what up, man? How you doing, Ray Fareed? So, why am I telling you this story? Well, since JD asked it, let's just be open about it. I'm putting it out there because I'm putting myself out there. I think if I want to be one of the people that's leading this charge, that's trying to lead this charge for mental health, is just being open. I'm not perfect. I'm hard to be around. I'm hard to live with. I'm a problematic individual who stresses all the time, has anxiety, worries about health, and obsesses about things. I'm a pain in the ass, but I got a good heart. I mean well, and as I deal with those things that come up, and I'm open about it. Like admitting to this time that I messed up with an NBA player. JD, you're going to pay for that too. It's funny, you know, this is a long time ago. You got to just laugh at yourself sometimes. You can't take yourself so seriously. Nobody's perfect. I talk about my buddy Sam. I'm just going to say his name. He's the one that went on that call as a detective with a young girl. He's my dog that I've been friends with forever. He always tells me, keep this in perspective. In 100 years, none of this shit's going to matter anymore. So don't get so wrapped around the axle. Yeah, we got to follow rules. We got to follow policy. But slow down and take a breath sometimes. I know it doesn't seem like that, me going as fast as I am. But enjoy life. Don't get so wrapped up that you take yourself so seriously that you paint yourself into a dark corner. Can you just tell me what this says? Does your department have a policy, what?
For handling law enforcement officer suicides.
Does our agency have a policy for handling law enforcement suicides? I don't think we have we have a critical incident policy. And we have it set up so where we have liaisons for all of our officers who they've designated. But I can't think that we have an actual policy surrounding an officer's suicide. And if I'm wrong, I apologize. But I don't think we do. I'm just going through all the policies in my head. I don't think we have one of those. Probably something we need to look at. But I think a lot of agencies probably don't have that in place. I think it's, again, taboo. People don't want to really talk about, you know, the things that actually sometimes do happen. And it's empowered me just to be here with you guys tonight with H.E.L.P. to reminisce some of my friends that have taken their lives. Some of the people I grew up with riding with when I was a young explorer. Comment, I love how self-aware you are. Very important. Oh, who said that? Not JD, I bet. Yeah, it's taken me a long time to become self-aware. I wasn't like this always. I still have issues. Every day I get up and, you know, I don't know if you guys ever feel like this, but something will get stuck in my mind that I'm dealing with. I see it as a problem, and I'm trying to overcome it or deal with it. And it's a really, really big deal. But then a couple days will go by, and we've kind of like rehashed this thing a million times. It's not that big of a deal. So that's one of the things I've learned is try to just let a little bit of time go by. I like to argue stuff because that's just my personality. I will argue with somebody till the cows come home just because I like to argue. And sometimes I just like to argue with myself, I think, just because, you know, I find it interesting to argue everything possible. My moderator over here, my better half, is telling me, yeah, probably so. I'll argue with myself, talk to myself. You know what? That's just me. I like being me. And what else do you need to know about me? Come see a show. I'm not doing it justice tonight. I'm not really even doing comedy. I'm just talking to you openly. I just want to tell you guys from the bottom of my heart, everybody watching, is imperfection. You know, no matter how great of a show I ever perform or, you know, whatever comes my way, I just got to remember that the relationships, the friends that are around me, the people that count on me are the most important things in my life. You know, money is not going to do it. My dad used to tell me all the time as a kid. I lost my pops right after I became a cop to cancer. He'd always be like, Mijo, which means my son, you never see a U-Haul behind a hearse. You don't take anything with you. So I try to live by that principle. I don't care about riches and, you know, having the biggest house, or I don't care about that stuff. It's just material. You know, nobody ever said, let me see my Porsche 911 and all that other stuff when they're on their deathbed. They just usually want to see their loved ones and spend time with them. I also think it's important to, you know, thank you for making the comment about being self-aware, but I think it's also important to take time for you and be selfish. And what I mean by that is if you don't handle the self-care, if you don't go seek out help in talking to people because you're struggling with something, it's only going to get worse. You know, I thought that when I did EMDR for the first time, and if you don't know what that is, maybe you do, maybe you don't, but I was seeing Tiffany, who was my psychologist, law enforcement one, she's the bomb. And I go there, and she's like, we're going to do this thing where you put the light going back and forth in front of your eyes. And I'm like, yeah, okay, what's this mumbo jumbo? And then I did it, and it really relaxed me, and I left the office very positively, and it was a great experience. Well, I just had conjured up in my head that this was going to be some mumbo jumbo and, like, you know, my crazy or whatever. But it really worked. And giving yourself a chance to take care of you will not only help you help yourself, but when you take that opportunity to take self-care of yourself and deal with your mental health issues, as a leader in the organization, you're communicating that that's important to everybody else in the organization. And sometimes people who are afraid to take that step, once they see somebody take that opportunity and, you know, self-help themselves to go get counseling or go see somebody or talk with a friend, and they see that somebody else is willing to be open about it, it's a catalyst for them to do the same thing for themselves. And that is where we reach a success, because we want it to be a trickle-down effect where we have people that are really, really looked at as strong people in the agency step out and say, yeah, I've had my struggles. Whether it be alcohol, I can't tell you how many cops I've had in my career that I know have had alcohol issues, chewing tobacco issues, me, probably gambling a little too much, me, you name it, eating too much, definitely me. I always feel better going to bed with a full stomach. Why? Because I feel that fullness. I mean, let's just be straight about it. What else? Name it. All of us probably have an issue somewhere along the line. But we have to be bold leaders to step out and say, hey, you know what, I'm willing to accept some of the things that go with that. And once you talk about it, I guarantee you'll always feel better about it. Plug any future shows. God, everything's on hiatus right now. I'm going to be back in Texas. I think the negotiators are going to have me down there. My good friend Chelsea Lynn, her and I, and Officer Daniels and Libby Higgins, we're coming back to, hopefully once they open everything, we're going to be in Nashville, Tennessee with Tammy and the gang. We're going to be in Raleigh, North Carolina, Virginia Beach, and I've got a ton of shows that are lined up from like September all the way through 2021. It's booking up. So we haven't posted or released anything on my website, VinnieMontez.com. I would love to entertain you. Share this with your friends. I just want to be open about everything that I've talked with you guys today. I want to thank Blue Help for having me on. A few more things before we wrap. They're trying to get to 1,500. What are we at?
1,000.
We're at $1,000.
No, they're trying to get to 1,000.
They're trying to get to $1,000. What are we at?
825.
We're at 825. All right, people. Here's the deal. What do I got to do in order to get us to 1,500? What do I got to do? You tell me what I got to do, and I'll think about it. And if it's something reasonable, I'll do it. I'll shave. You know, I didn't do the live stream the other night. I'll shave this off. I don't like my beard. I'll shave it off if we can get to 1,500. I'll shave it off if we can get to 1,500. Can I keep a little goatee and a little mustache?
Somebody says strip.
I'm not going to strip. You know, most people go to strip clubs. You know, they throw dollar bills out. If I start taking my clothes off, people are going to throw $5 bills to keep it on. All right, let's not get crazy here. Plus, I don't want to get an IA. Thank you. I want to thank everybody who's had a chance to donate so far. Thank you so much for donating, whether you donated $1 or $801. Thank you very much. Where are we at?
825.
825. I'm not ending this live stream. I'll be here till next week. Jump on there right now. Donate $5. How many people are watching right now? What's the views on the top left corner? You'll see in the white little box.
141.
We have 141 people. If all you guys donated $1 right now, we'd be very close to being at $1,000.
How do you donate?
You push the button. So you got to make sure you're on the Blue Help page. If you're watching this on one of the other pages, make sure that you click on the Blue Help. There should be a donate button where you just push the button and you can pick how much you want to donate, and we can get up to $1,000. If we get to 1,500, if we get to 1,500, I will sing the national anthem by myself right here live for you. I will do that. I will sing the national anthem right here, right now for all of you. Embarrass myself. I will be pridefully happy to do it, but I will put myself out there for Blue Help if we can get to $1,500. Where are we at?
Still, now we're at 835.
We're at 835. Okay, so 10 of you. All right, I'm gonna do some jokes.
Somebody says, can you do the twist?
Can I do the twist? Yeah, I can do the twist. I'll do the twist. Do the twist. Chubby checker twist. All right, people, I'm putting myself out there for you right now. Making a complete... I told the referee joke, or not a joke, the story. What else? Come on. If I get 5 people to donate $20 each, that's $100. 5 people, $100 each. Look, for all you gluten-free people out there, you know who you are, you Subaru driving sons of bitches. You know you're watching this live stream. You know you're gluten-free. Look, I'll eat something with gluten if you donate $10. Why? because I love gluten. I'm a Mexican and we love tortillas. Tortillas are the way. Listen, gluten freers, $10 each. Where are we at? What do I got to do? I'm willing to do it.
905.
What's that?
905.
905. 80. Or sorry, I have good math. $95 and we're there.
They're at now 1,005.
Okay, we're at 1,005. National anthem. I told you 1,500. Share this. This is how we do it. We're gonna share it with a bunch of people. Look at that thin blue line glass.
What's the weirdest thing you've ever confiscated?
All right. What's the weirdest thing I've ever confiscated? I don't know that we actually confiscated it. But if you've ever worked narcotics before, every single search warrant you go on, you know when you open those drawers, you know what you're going to encounter. Any of you who've ever been a narcotics person watching this live stream, if you do a search warrant and there's narcotics related, you know you open those drawers and you see those large, how should I?
Personal female devices.
Personal female devices. Well, it doesn't necessarily need to be female, right? You know what I'm talking. I don't want to get crude on here, but I don't know that we've ever confiscated one of those. We've encountered many. What else? Any other questions coming in?
They want to see 22 push-ups for vets.
22 push-ups for vets. Okay, I will do 22 push-ups for vets. It's not going to be right now. There's not enough room where we have the filming going on, but I will do that if we can get to 1,500. So I'll do 22. I got to keep track of what I got to do here. I got to do 22 push-ups for vets. I got to sing the national anthem. What else do I got to do?
Somebody says, go in front of your, pull someone off the street in front of your place and give them a cavity search.
Pull somebody off the street in front of where we live and give them a cavity search? Daniels, get over here quickly. What else? Where are we at?
1090.
We're at 1090. $410 there. What do I got to do? Are we thin blue line? I want to make sure that, we understand whether you're a dispatcher, paramedic, Fire Department Chronicles, if you're watching this, whether you're a hose dragger, Fire Department Chronicles, get off of your lazy boy. I know you're watching this feed right now. Get off of your lazy boy, put down your video game controller, take out your phone, hit the donate button on there, all right? I know we can do it. We're only $400 away. We're sharing this all over the place. We're driving a lot of good awareness for Blue Help. What do I got to do? Do I got to flex the chest muscles here? What? Is that good enough right there? What else are we going to do? If we get 1,500, I will sing. I'll be like, I'll even do like, glory, glory, hallelujah. I mean, I'm going to sing the entire national anthem. Come on, people. What are we going to do? I'm going to do one of my jokes because I feel like doing a joke right now. I'm not leaving this live stream until we get to 1,500. Where are we at? 1090. $410. I'll donate another $50. So can you push on there for me? $50? All right, I donated 50 earlier. Somebody matched my 50. Do it right now. Go to the button, push 50, donate it right now. So we should be at 1140. 1140, 1145. I auctioned a thin blue line blanket with Daniels in Philadelphia and Ohio for like $1,100, something like that. So we can go higher than that. Where are we at?
1140.
We're at 1140. Dude, is that including my donation? 1140. Did we get a donation of 50 in there? Somebody matched my donation of 50. We're at 1140. We need $360. How many people watching? 140? 124. All you right now, I want to know where you separate the good from the average from the very cream of the crop. 4 of you right now do $50. We're over halfway there. We're getting close. I'll sing out the national anthem. We'll close Blue Help. I'll rap. You want me to rap? Is that what I got to do? I'm the Vin man, doing it my style. So you better step back and stay a little while, cause I'm kicking, hanging out with Blue Help. Man, I'm the playing with the I don't even know what I'm doing at this point. Look, you guys got me rapping here in the middle of the night. For you, because we're trying to help Blue Help. And if you haven't heard of them, Blue Help LE on Facebook, and you're tuning into this for the first time, my name is Vinnie Montez. I'm a police officer, stand-up comedian, and I'm talking to my friends here with Blue Help. We had a Q&A tonight. If you have no idea, you just came across this random feed, and you see this large Latino just kind of going off at the helm, that's me, no problem. You're just stopping by for a little bit, you want to be participative, and you think, heck, let me just help out. You could donate $100, you could donate $200. You might even have a feeling inside of you, you're like, you know what? I just need, for tonight, I just need to do something positive. And you're like, you know what, honey? We don't need that Samsung 72-inch TV. Is there even such thing as a 72-inch? I don't know. But we don't need that. But what we could do is help Blue Help. So you could say, you know what? You don't need to spend the entire $1,000 on us, but you could say, you know what? I'll take 10% of that. What number are we at?
12.
We're at $12.10. $290 away. And we will be at $1,500. Do you know what you could do with $1,500? Let me tell you what you could do with it. Blue Help can reach out to a bunch of family members who have struggled with one of their heroes that they've lost, and they could do some positive stuff. They can reach out to other people to help provide suicide prevention. I'm tugging at your heartstrings. Why? Because we're all here watching this for a little bit of entertainment while I'm making a jackass of myself. And you can share this with your friends. If you don't feel like you can donate right now, you know what you can do? Is you can push the share button. Because we're not leaving until we're at $1,500. I refuse to leave until we're at $1,500. Where are we at?
Still 12:10.
12:10.
Somebody says, can you sing Shark Baby?
What's the worst of that? Baby shark. What is it? Baby shark. Do-do-do-do-do. Baby shark. Baby shark. I don't know the words to that. Give me another song. I can sing the song that,
Somebody says, can you read the Old Glory poem with intensity?
the Old Glory poem. Do you know that? Can you pull it up? Read the Old Glory poem. What else can I do? I'm going to tell a joke. I've been wanting to do this. So, you know those cops out there? If you got, maybe you guys have seen this, maybe you haven't. You know, you got those cops that, you know, just don't pay attention, right? They're hanging out. They're saying that they're there, that they pay attention, and they're on point. They got your six, but they don't listen, right? And dispatchers are the ones who are probably going to enjoy this the most. And what it is like, you ever hear that call come out and it's something like this? Yeah, units respond on a vehicle fire. Need units to respond on a vehicle fire. And you're going to the fire and you got that one unit. You know who you are. Maybe you're watching this live stream right now. You know who you are. And you get up on the radio and you're like, yeah, dispatch, can I get a description of the vehicle? And everybody else wants to like ram you. You hear people clicking you and everything. Why? Because it's the one that's on fire. Flames coming from it. Smoke. Yeah, dispatch, can I get a description of the vehicle? I don't know there, genius. Maybe it's the one that's on fire. Fire.
They're at 1,400. I'll give the last 100.
They're at 1,400. You're going to donate the last 100? Ladies and gentlemen, our moderator donated the last 100. So why don't you just put it on there so it goes official? You can Venmo me or whatever you do. We're at 400. Anybody want to match that $100 that the moderator wants to remain anonymous, so we're going to leave the moderator alone. So we're at 1,500. Does anybody want to match? Going once? I'm about to sing the national anthem. So you can still keep donating here. The moderator just donated $100. Here we go. Oh, say, can you see behind the dawn's early lights what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. O'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare. Oh my gosh. You know what? I'm not gonna accept that. I'm gonna back it up a little bit. And the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, see, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the, I lost it here, pun, brave of the brave of the brave. Okay, if I busted out your speakers, I apologize. Not really. I started that a little bit too high. I guess I was a little nervous. Not making any excuses, but I did. Just own it. It's what it is. I did the best I could. Sorry for messing up that middle part. I was trying to be disrespectful. That's it. Where we at? What's the number?
1510.
1510. Thank you guys. On behalf of H.E.L.P, I'm exhausted at this point. A lot of energy. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I wish you guys a great rest of your year for 2020. And please, if you get a chance, take a look. If you're not part of H.E.L.P already and you're not aware of what they're doing, look at their Facebook page, take a look at it, see some of the stuff that they're posting. Donate. The donate button will be up there even after this live stream closes out. I want to thank you guys for joining us. I want to thank Brianna and everybody who reached out to me to help bring me on this, to answer some Q&A. Please come see me at a comedy show near you, VinnieMontez.com. I post everything up on there where all the shows are going to be. There's going to be a bunch of stuff that gets posted here and released probably at the beginning of June. Thank you guys so much. What else am I forgetting, moderator? I love you guys. You want to go click us off? I love you guys. Be safe. I hope to see you at Please Week 2021. God bless everybody.